to Wednesday's All Levels Yoga. I might look a bit different because I've put my camera up a little bit higher today. So if it's worse, then let me know. If it's fine, then obviously leave it. But I just don't know if you can get a better view. I've stacked that many boxes on top of each other. Hopefully they're not going to fall down. So we've got a bit of, we're getting in the hips a little bit tonight, but not hugely into the hips with lizards or anything like that. Just a bit of a nice yoga session, hopefully. I'm sorry if there's banging, but people are in the unit next door, don't know what they're doing, moving stuff out, but there's a lot of banging, so if you hear it, that's what you can hear. Equipment-wise tonight, just always having the usual cushions, blocks, soft blocks for knees, if you have them, if you need them. The only reason I've got a strap in my hand is because we're starting with butterfly again. And we did this on Monday where we lay down with the soles of the feet together and let the knees fall out wide. We're not putting anything under our backs tonight because we're not working with the heart. You can if you want to. And the reason I've got the strap is because if you have a really large belt or the yoga strap and your legs are tight, it's quite nice to get a really big loop and then you can make a figure 8 with it, just twisting it over and you can hook it on your knees. And it's quite a nice way of supporting the legs when you lay down. So just find yourself a nice butterfly posture. You can have it supported like this or with cushions underneath your thighs, or you can just let the legs hang in their own space, as long as they're not pulling too much on the hip or the inner thighs, bringing the feet closer to make it more intense. We are just starting, so go easy on yourselves, or you can take the feet away to make it a little bit less intense. It does create an arch in the lower back, so if your backs don't like it, take it the opposite way, so your feet would go out and your knees would come in. So it's a different rotation on the hip, but you've got to do what's best for your back, so you don't want any pain in these postures. Or you can just lay flat, just listen to your body. Closing the eyes down if it's comfortable, and we're just going to start focusing on our breath as always. Just noticing how it feels in your body. And with those exhales, where can you just let go straight away? I can feel it in my shoulders and my arms, and we're just holding on to that little bit of tension. Maybe you're holding on in the butt cheeks or the belly. Maybe the shoulders can come down away from the ears a little. And if it gets too much with the legs open, so much so that you find you are clenching somewhere, then just lay down flat. And notice where your breath is. Is it up in the shoulders? Is it in the rib cage, the belly? Trying to breathe through the nose if you can. If you're congested, you can still breathe through the mouth, it's fine. But we try and breathe through the nose if it is clear. And starting off, let's breathe into our bellies. Isolate as much of that breath in the belly as you can, and that means totally letting go of your shoulders and your back. You can't hold on to any belly muscles, you have to let it go as big and as round as you can. Let the pelvic floor go, let the glutes go, everything just relaxes as you take a big inhale and let that belly fill. And as you exhale, maybe you can create the sound of the sea by closing the throat off a little, and that causes the exhale to be a little bit slower and longer. So rather than having the throat completely open as you breathe out, just close the throat off and try and make that real rasping sound. It's a bit like when you're letting the air out of a balloon, but you're just closing the end off a little and it makes that loud noise, but the air comes out much more slowly. And it's just a way of getting used to increasing the exhale, and that tells the body that it's okay. It doesn't have to be in fight or flight mode now. It can completely relax and it can activate the renew side of its nervous system, the healing, calming, wonderful side.
Maybe you can exhale twice as long as you can inhale. Don't want anything to be forced, don't want it to be causing any type of anxiety or tension. If it does, just breathe however is comfortable for you. And if it causes any dizziness, then return your breath to normal. But if you can, count the inhale and see if you can exhale for longer or twice as long. Two more rounds. And returning your breath to normal. And notice how it feels now, compared to when you first brought your mind, your attention to the breath a few minutes ago. Has it changed position in the body? Has it changed the way it feels or how you feel? It's really important to listen to your body and listen to the change that that little breathing exercise may have had. And if it hasn't had any, then that is absolutely fine as well. Let's get the outside of those legs now and gently bring them in. And then one knee at a time, hugging those knees in and see how those hips feel now. And just do any little movements that feel good. Staying on your backs, I'm just going to grab my bit of paper. Okie dokie. So we're going to cross the right leg over the left tightly, so there's no gap between the inner thighs. And then we're going to gently ease the hips towards the knees, towards us, and we're getting quite a deep hip stretch there. If your right knee is over your left, you may feel it in the right side, and it's a strange feeling because we don't normally take a stretch like this. All of our stretches are with our legs open in an outward rotation. So that inward rotation can be a little bit uncomfortable, which if it is, just ease it off. Otherwise, really relax the belly, relax the shoulders, and just take a couple more exhales into that right hip. And then gently easing it off, doing what feels good. And then let's cross that left knee over the top, tightly over. So you're squeezing those inner thighs, so it's a really tight cross. And that may well be enough for you, or you can start to bring the legs in and just take hold wherever you can. And once you've got it, just make sure you've relaxed the back of that neck again, so your head's not lifting up too much. If it does, just pop a cushion under your head so you can really relax down. You may be holding on with your belly and your pelvic floor here, so just release it and release the shoulders. There's no tension anywhere, this is just a nice stretch. Big breaths. You can still close your throat off. It's called Ujjayi breathing. And they do it a lot in Ashtanga yoga. They inhale and exhale through a closed throat. You can do that throughout the whole practice if you wish. I tend to only exhale with the throat closed, or just breathe normally, whatever you want to do. Gently releasing that off. Ooh, feel that down that side of that leg. That's quite a good stretch, I think, if you're a runner, because it gets all on the outside of that thigh. Okay, so we're going to thread the needle now. So we're going to take the right ankle over the left knee and see how that feels. So now we are outwardly rotating that hip on the right side. If you can start to lift the left foot off the floor. We're not holding on. We are focusing on releasing the shoulders, relaxing them. Shoulders away from the ears, arms nice and chilled out, jaws not tight at all. You are using the muscles of the thighs and the tummy to hold your leg here. Maybe you can bring it in a little more without introducing tension into the neck. It's really difficult. As soon as we start working anywhere, you feel it all creeping around the neck and shoulders. just like we do when we're stressed out. You can flex the toes on both feet if you wish. It does make it a little bit more intense. Big breaths. And then start to straighten your left leg if that's comfortable. If you need to hold on, you can. And just watch, the shoulders are still relaxed. So you may feel a little bit of a shake in that left thigh. The toes on that left leg are strongly flexed towards your face. 2 more breaths. You come out of this whenever you need to. Now you're going to start pushing your lower back into the floor. And then if you can, lifting your chest to the ceiling. And your arms are by the side hovering, your chin is away from your chest, and I'm pushing the back of my spine so firmly down into the mat that it's causing my bum to lift off. I'm not gazing forward, I'm not closing the gap between my chin and my chest. It's an upward motion, relaxed shoulders. It's the core that's lifting the chest. If you need to, you can gently hold onto your neck. We've got about 5 more breaths here. For the last 3, maybe you can move your right ankle away from your left thigh. And relax. Take that left foot down and keep the cross on the leg. This time the left ankle is going to come all the way over, so we've got that tight cross over. Now we're going to twist. If this is too much for you, just uncross your legs and then let your knees fall to the left. Otherwise, right leg is over the left and then the knees fall over. And just take the arm, the shoulder, wherever's comfortable. You can pad underneath if you need to with some cushions, because it's a very deep twist, or just uncross your legs. I had about 4 back cracks when I did that one. It's definitely intense, but it's in a really nice way. And bringing it back to centre. Just notice how you feel. You might feel differently on one side than the other. And then let's see how it feels to take that left ankle over the right knee. Get yourself nice and comfortable, shoulders away from the ears, keep everything relaxed now in the upper body. And then maybe you can start to bring that right knee in. Now watch what the right knee is doing. Does it want to go over to the left or over to the right? See if you can keep your knee in line with the hip. If you can't, it doesn't matter, or if it's not comfortable, then change it. But naturally we will tend to sway because that's the way our hips want to go. Keep the upper body relaxed as you bring it in a little more, so you're working all the muscles, stretching out around that butt cheek, stretching out around the hip, flexing the toes if you want to get even deeper in that left hip. Last breath. And then straightening the right leg up or to wherever suits you. If you need to, you can thread the hands through and hold on to the leg for support, because it can be intensive. I have to offer postures for all levels. So it doesn't mean you should be holding as long as I am or doing everything that I'm doing. Just release out whenever you need to, or give yourself that little bit of support. Last breath. You can stay here, you can drop the foot, or you can start to push your lower back down and it will start to lift the butt off. And then you can come into that sit-up hold. Relax the shoulders. This is pure core fire here. The more you push the back of the spine down, the more it's going to create lift through the bum and through the chest. Chin away from the chest, roll the shoulders back and down. And for the last 3 breaths, maybe your left ankle will come away from the right thigh. And that really builds fire deep down in that core. And release. And crossing that left leg all the way over, getting any supports that you need over on the right side as you take that twist. You can always uncross the legs to do this twist. Whatever feels good for you. The neck can come the opposite way. And just let go. You've worked hard there, so just have a minute. This building is so hot, even though it's really reduced outside. You wouldn't think so in here. Really retains the heat, which is quite nice in a way. And bring it back to centre. Okay, just 2 more little moves before we get off of our backs. And it's just a hold, just practicing. Okay, bringing the knees in. If you've got a sore back or you need to strengthen your core a little more to hold the back in place, then keep the knees further in towards the chest. Otherwise, as I bring my knees over my hips, I'm tucking my tail and pushing my back down, so there is no gap whatsoever between your lower back and the floor. It's so important. If there's a gap, you bring the knees back towards your chest to close the gap off. Lift your bum off the floor, and that's going to close the gap off as well. Careful that you're not putting too much tension into the neck. And then we are just going to lift and hold. If that's too much, you can bring the knees further in, you can take the head down. We have got 9 more breaths here. The more you push the waist down, the harder it's going to be, the more you're going to work, but the safer it's going to be. If it's too much on the neck, you can gently take the fingertips. It's just a hold, and the chest and gaze is up. Two more breaths. You can relax down, or you can take a 6-breath burner. Hands behind the back of the neck, not pulling on the neck, and then the right elbow to the left knee, straighten the right leg and back. Left elbow to the right knee, straighten. So we're just twisting. Twist. Keep the lower back pushing down. 1 more each side. Don't pull on the neck, it's just there for support. And relax. Okie dokie, let's just take a happy baby to finish off our little hip stretch down here. So happy baby, holding onto the feet. The backs of the thighs, the calf muscles, wherever you can get to, and my knees are as wide apart as they can go, and then my feet are above my knees, soles of the feet towards the ceiling. Try and not take the feet out wider than the knees if you can, and also watch that you're not lifting up too much through the neck, otherwise you need to pad under your head, and just enjoy this stretch. Try and relax the shoulders if you can. Breathing into the belly. And this is the more common stretch we do in yoga, with the knees out. So we've got that outward rotation in the hip. A lot of yoga instructors do suffer with their hips, I think, because we can overdo it. So I do try and put the internal ones in as well. Okay, lift the fingers around your big toes, or you can keep hold of wherever you are. And let's see if those feet can come overhead, and we can rock ourselves up to seated. And can we hold here for a few breaths? Or not, as the case may be. Last one. Shoulders down away from the ears. And sit yourselves down. Okay, let's do a seated cat-cow. So, the same principle that we do when we're on our hands and knees. Try and keep the head on a level, so we're not going to dip the chin and then lift the chin. We're going to try and keep the head in line, but just move through the spine. So it'll start from your bottom as you lift the bum and then tuck it under. So what I mean by that is, as I push my butt to the back of the room, I create an arch in my back,
And then the shoulders can go back and the chest can lift. You kind of want to lift the head as well. You can a tiny, tiny bit. So that will be one way that the spine can move. And just breathe here. Really pushing the tailbone back. And then lifting the chest forward. I'm having to hold on to my knees to really push my elbows back. And then the other way will be to start to tuck the tail forward. And round the shoulders, round the back now. So I'm taking my spine in the other direction. My gaze is still forward. Naturally, you want to drop the head here. If you need a back of the neck stretch, you can do. Let's just do one more each way. So take the bum back now and the chest forward, shoulders back. Create as big an arch in that lower back as you can. And you're also lifting up tall. So you're not doing it in a really hunched down position with the shoulders near the ears. Shoulders are down, head is tall, chest forward, bum back. And then tuck the tail, keep the spine long as you really tuck it under, round the upper back. And then let's come over onto our hands and knees. As we just start to warm through our shoulders just a little before we do one little move and then we come on to some flow. Okay, so we're just going to work through some chaturangas, just some little ones to warm us up. You can hear the groans already. You can push back into a bit of a child's pose to give you a bit of momentum as you come forward. Roll the elbows in and keep the body dropping. Push back up, child's pose. Keep those elbows rolling towards each other. It's the best thing you can do here. Let's do two more. Roll those elbows in. Every fingertip is pushing into the mat and hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, and take a child's pose. Stretch it out. Hopefully your hips are nice and warmed up. Your belly's a bit warmer. Shoulders have had a little bit of movement now. So let's try a balance. Okay, we did this last week in our forest yoga on Wednesday, but it's not going to be as difficult, I promise. So see how you go with this one. So the right forearm is coming onto the floor and then the left hand is coming back. So I've got a right angle on my right hand and a right angle on the left arm. Sorry, arm, not hand. So it looks something like this. So you might have to take your left hand a little bit further back than what you think to get that right angle there. And most importantly, like I always bang on about, is to get the elbows going in. So we don't want that left elbow flaying out. Both elbows are coming towards the centre line. Even though that right elbow's on the floor, you've still got the action of dragging it to the centre. Push through the right elbow in the left hand and that will round your upper back. And allow the head to completely relax. Really pull the elbows towards the centre line and then start to tuck your toes and lift the bum into the air. Keep that left elbow draw into the centre. See how that feels. And maybe you can start to take your right leg back and then lift slowly and lower. Keep the elbows towards the centre. 2 more. Keep pushing through the elbow and the hand to round the upper back. Last one. And squeeze the elbows for one last time. And drop the knees and take a child's pose. If that caused any problems whatsoever, you can do exactly the same thing from a downward dog position, or of course you can keep your knees down on the floor. You don't have to go to the full extension. Let's try that the other side. You never have to lift the knees, you can always keep the knee down. So left elbow is down, and just check The elbows under the shoulder and then the hands in front of the elbows. So we're not in any funny angles here. Get in that right hand all the way back until you've got that nice right angle. Push through the elbow and hand, round the upper back, and then tucking those toes, let the head relax, and lifting yourselves up. You might want to walk your feet in or back, but make sure that right elbow now is tracking in and not flaying out. Get your balance into the right toes as you start to lift the left leg slowly. Flex the toes firmly on that left foot. And really slowly lift and lower. Watch that right elbow hasn't jutted out. Mine just did. Really pull it in round the upper back. And hold. And squeeze the elbows together around the upper back. And take the knees down. Take a child's pose. Do whatever feels good. And then let's get ready to lift up into our first downward dog. The same action now. Feel every fingertip pushing into the floor as well as the rest of the hand. And it's almost like you're dragging the heel of the hands towards each other and the elbows towards each other. As you push through the heel of the hands round the upper back, let the head be heavy and then tuck the toes and lift the bum straight up into the air from here. Really round through the upper back, high on your tiptoes, elbows towards each other. And then you can start to push back into that downward dog. You drop your knees if you need. Big, big breaths. And with a big exhale, you may find that your chest will relax just a little more. And then tiptoe your feet to the top of the mat. Take your dangle. So you can take the opposite elbows, a little bend in the knees, let the head go. You can clasp your fingers behind your neck and then let the elbows be heavy. Just be careful with the neck. Or maybe you want to clasp your hands behind you and bring them overhead. And wherever you are, releasing that off, pushing into the feet and bringing the pelvis forward as you stand up. And let's just check how we're standing before we move on. Okay, so check that you are on the whole foot, that you're not rolling the feet in, you're not rolling them out, you're not forward, you're not back. And then just notice what's happening in the shoulders. Can you lift the chest? So you're increasing the space between the chest and the belly. Really making yourself tall through the chest. And then the shoulders can come back and down. And then your pelvis can tilt under a little. So now you have a really nice posture. So rather than being here, you've lifted the chest. You've rolled the shoulders back and down, you've tucked the pelvis under, you're on the whole of your foot and maybe the belly's pulled in just a little and the hands can come out by the side in mountain pose. We're going to flow, but we're doing Sun Salutations version B today. We're going to do one round slowly and I'll talk through it for those people who aren't overly confident with it. And then we'll speed up with the second round and then we'll start adding on. So it does take a little bit of time getting used to this one. So don't worry if you lose where you are, just join back in again. So we start off in chair pose. So feet can be together, the knees can be together or they can be hip distance apart. Make sure the knees aren't coming in when we take our chair pose or coming forward.
So it's very much a backward sit down into the heels, and then you can lift the arms up. Or you can have them in at the chest, whatever feels good for you. If it's really sore on your back here, just tuck the pelvis under, and that's going to really release all of the back. Breathe. I'm just going to hold a couple more breaths. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift the bum, lift the chest. One exhale, take your plank chaturanga. You can drop your knees if you need. Inhale, drop the bum, lift the chest. And then exhale, downward dog. Inhale, lift the right leg, toes are down, you're not lifting the hip. And then exhale, bring the right foot to the right hand, left heel goes down. As you inhale, you rise up, warrior one. One exhale, hands down, plank, chaturanga. Inhale into any back bend that feels good for you. And exhale, downward dog. Inhale, lift the right leg, toes are down. Exhale, did I say right? Left foot to the left hand, right heel down. Inhale, rise up. One exhale, plank, chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward dog, or if you're tired, you can take your child's pose, wherever you want to be. Listen to what your body's telling you. Roll those elbows in. Big breaths. Lift the bum to the ceiling and then push it back. One more breath. As you inhale, bend the knees, sit the bum back, gaze is forward, and step, hop or jump to the top of your mat, let your head go. Inhale, lift your chest, lift your bum. Exhale, fold from the groin, the belly, the back, then the head. Inhale, sit the bum back, rise up chair. And exhale, hands to the heart. Bit quicker now, inhale, chair. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the bum, hands can be on the legs. One exhale, hands down, plank, chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, step it through, back heel down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, plank, chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, the left leg. Exhale, step it through, back heel down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, plank, chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward dog, 3 breaths. Inhale, sit the bum back, gaze is forward. Exhale, walk or jump to the top of your mat, let it go. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the bum, weight forward. And exhale, fold, belly back. Inhale, sit the bum back, chair. And exhale, hands to the heart. Moving on, adding on, inhale, chair. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plank, chaturanga. Inhale, any back bend, and that may mean you're all on your belly. And exhale, downward dog. Inhale, lift the right leg. Exhale, step it through, back heel down. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Oh, how many of you went plank chaturanga then? Holding up, warrior twos. Pushing down firmly through those feet. See if you're in a nice straight line, if your hips are happy with that. Relax the shoulders, lift the chest, tuck the bum under, and now drag both feet towards each other strongly. Strongly. That's going to activate
all inside the thighs. Plant those feet down and drag them. And breathe. And release it off. Just release the muscles. Turn the back hand to face the ceiling. And we're going to pivot the hands to the floor or to a block or a cushion or wherever is comfortable for you. Your top hand can come down if you wish. We're going to work the hip 3 ways. So the hip is twisting one way here, that front hip. You'll see which way the pelvis is going and which way the leg's going. And in a minute we're going to twist it totally the other way and you'll know what's comfortable for you. Big breaths. Maybe you can bend that front foot, that leg a little bit more. Keep that chest opening. And then you're going to come onto your back toes. Bring your left hand down to the cushion, a block, the floor, and lift the right hand up. And notice how that feels in that right hip. You can drop that left knee if you need. It's a totally different rotation. It's an inward rotation on that right hip now. Before we were in an outward rotation. This one actually feels quite nice. It's like a relief to me, maybe not to you. And then bringing the hands down, staying on the toes. Now we're going to neutralise it. So we're not inwardly or outwardly, although we are slightly outward. We're going to bring the hands back. Roll the shoulders back. So now that hip is just working. Not necessarily twisting, it's just working. Try and lift the belly away from the thigh, take the shoulder blades back. Bring the hands down. Plant your left heel down. Rise up, warrior one. Get ready to carry on with our flow. Inhale. Exhale, plank chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, lift the left leg in the air. Exhale, step it through to the left hand, back heel down. Inhale, rise up, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Get yourselves comfortable. Make sure the back toes are not pointing away from you. They have to be straight, parallel with the back of the mat, or slightly forward, because you're rolling on the outer edge of that back foot. And then a big bend in that front leg if it's comfy. Relax the shoulders. Now drag those feet towards each other. Push them down and drag them. Activating the inner thighs. Pulling in the pelvic floor. Watch your back hand hasn't dropped. This is sore on your shoulders. You can just bring your hands into your chest. Drag them even harder. And release. Turn the back palm up and get ready to take the inward twist. So the front hand can be on a bolster or whatever it needs to be. Keep pushing firmly into that back foot and keep the chest open. The hand can come down. Sometimes you get more of a chest lift if the hand is on the back. Breathe. Big open rotation on that left hip. Now let's close it off. Let's come onto the toes. You can drop the back knee if you need. Plant the right hand down this time and lift that left arm. Oh, that feels nice on that left hip, doesn't it? Not so nice on the shoulders, so keep pushing firmly through the feet. Take some weight out the shoulders. Pull the core in, pull the pelvic floor in. Open the chest. Okay, now let's neutralise it. Facing forward. You can step that back foot in a little if you need and take the arms back, and I can just rest on my leg here. So that's cheating. Roll the shoulders back and try and lift the belly away from the leg. It is going to work for back this because you're having to use back muscles to support your torso. So tummy has to be tight. Bringing the hands down. Taking that back heel down, rise up, warrior one. Inhale. Exhale, plank chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward dog or child's pose if you've had enough, wherever you want to be. 3 breaths. Keep rolling those elbows towards each other if you can. I know it gets difficult, but it just helps relax the belly down, relax the chest. Last breath. Bend the knees, sit the bum back, and bring yourselves to the top of the mat. Let your head go. Lift the bum, lift the chest. And then fold from the groin, the belly, the mid-back, and then the upper back. Push into the feet, sit the bum back, inhale, chair. And exhale, let's come to standing. And let's carry on, inhale. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift the chest, lift the bum. And exhale, plank chaturanga. Inhale, back bend. And exhale, downward dog. Inhale, lift the right leg. And exhale, step it through, left heel down. Rise up, warrior 1. And this time we're going to turn onto the toes and hold a high lunge. And we're going to see how it feels to work through the hips here. So the slight bend in the front knee. My back leg isn't straight. There's a little bit of a bend in that back leg. And we're just going to work with tucking and tilting the pelvis. You can bring the hands down for this if your shoulders are sore. So see how it feels without moving the legs too much. To take the bum back and lift the chest. And then tuck the bum under, close the chest off. And then tilt it back. And then tuck it under. When you tuck it under, you may well be feeling that quadricep on the front of that leg because it's a big quad stretch. And just notice, where are you comfortable? Just something little, like tilting the pelvis backwards and forwards. Can be quite challenging. Bring the hands down. And we're going to twist to the long edge of our mats. Get as many cushions as you might need in front of you to put your hands onto a cushion or onto the floor. You can take your feet a little wider here. Just make sure you can still get a bit of a bend in the knees because we're going to start swaying gently one way and then the other, just loosening off our hips. And then we're going to find stillness. So when we're in a wide-legged forward fold like this, we want the toes to be slightly in and the heels to be slightly out, not with the toes pointing out, just this forward fold. And then we want the weight to be slightly forward, so the weight's coming into the toes. And let's practice tilting that pelvis. So you're going to lift the chest, lift the bum, and then let it go. Lift the chest, lift the bum, activate the back. And then let it go from the groin. Lift the bum, lift the chest. And this time as you let it go, you're going to stay wherever you are. If your hands do come to the floor, maybe you can bring them in line with the feet. Maybe you can bring them shoulder width apart and bring the elbows towards each other. So you're in that strong right angle on the arms and they're coming towards each other to really open up the back. Tummy's in tight. Uddiyana Bandha, we did that last week I think. Tuck the belly up and under the ribs and that allows you to get a little bit more fold. And carefully now, bringing it back up. Let's walk to the opposite side of the mat. So the left leg is facing forward and you're on the toes of the right foot. You can walk your back foot in a little and you're going to rise straight up into your high lunge. And we're going to work on tucking that bottom under and then taking it back. So it's like spinal flexion, it's like a cat-cow, just that you're in a high lunge. And now when you tuck it under, boy, you get a big stretch in the front of that leg. Big breath.
Last one. Bring the hands down, walk them to the long edge of the mat again. And let's see how a forward fold feels now. Just start swaying. Maybe you can get a little deeper this time. Maybe if you had cushions before, you don't need them now. The back of the body is so stretchy. If you just be patient with it and breathe with it, within a few minutes you can see massive differences. Just don't ever pull beyond or move beyond what is comfortable. Okay, maybe your feet can go a little wider as long as they're not pulling too tightly. And let's just activate. Lift the chest, lift the bum, and fold from the groin. Lift the chest and the bum. Activate the lower back. Take the shoulders back and down so you can feel the upper back really tightening, and then let it go. Last one. Weights forward into the toes, bum's lifted, chest is lifted, shoulders back, and let it go. And this time, maybe your hands can turn to face the back of the room and walk backwards. I've still got a right angle, my hands are still under my shoulders, and I'm still pulling the elbows in towards each other. Tuck that belly right up and under. Come out gently if you need to. And then slowly easing off. Let's toe heel, the feet in just a little as we come to the front of the mat. And from here we're just going to go straight into a plank chaturanga. And then lift up into our back bend. And let's take a downward dog or a child's pose, and really you can move through this now if you need. And then when you've had a little wiggle, finding your stillness. 2 more breaths. Roll the elbows towards each other, wrapping the shoulder blades around the ribs. And sit in the bum back, gaze is forward, inhale, and exhale. Inhale, take that halfway lift. And let's take a forward fold here. Sit the bum back, rise up, chair, inhale. And exhale. Okay, last one. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward dog. From here, you're going to walk your hands back to your feet. Okay, if you need to, you can place, in fact don't place anything under your hands, just bend your knees so that you can get your fingertips or hands on the floor. If your legs can stay straight, then keep them straight. We're going to hook the fingers of the right hand around the right big toe. And we're going to see how it feels to really push down through the left foot so you can lift the belly and the body away from the hip joint, away from that leg bone. So you're really long through the leg bone and the body is really lifted out of it, so you're not sinking down into it. And then maybe you can start to lift your right foot off the floor, and maybe you can take it out to the side. If you wish, you can start to extend your left hand away from you as well. 3 breaths. Bring it back to centre. Take a little bit of the bend, elbows on the thighs, and wiggle it through. Now, I can certainly feel that in my left hip and butt cheek. It's a really big glute strengthener, something we don't do, which is why it's agony, because we don't do it very often.
Let's hook those left fingers around the left toe. You can start to really root down through that right foot now and lift the belly away, lift the body away from that right hip. Keep that right leg as long as you can as you take that left leg out. And maybe that's where you want to be, or maybe you can take flight. 3 more breaths. And release. Walk back into your downward dog. Wiggle it through. Let's bend those knees. And let's take a big jump forward or step forward. Let the head go. Inhale, chest lift, bum lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chair. Exhale, sit down. And sit yourselves on your mat. Okie dokie. Let's see what we've got time for. I think we're going to take a pigeon pose. I wanted to put that in last week, but we didn't have time. So, pigeon pose. You're going to need some blocks, cushions, or a thick blanket to prop underneath a butt cheek. Unless you know you've got really flexible hips, then you may not need anything. And I'll show you why. So, you're going to bring your right knee to the right side of the mat, and the right foot comes over to the left. You're supposed to have the shin of the right foot parallel with the front of the mat. I think I've only ever seen that once or twice in class, and it's people who have got unusually flexible hips. So if it's not going to happen, just bring that foot back so you have a deeper angle. Lift yourselves up and then get yourself so that your pelvis is in alignment and your chest is in alignment facing forward. So your left knee isn't all the way over to the left, it's in a nice line. And to get that alignment, my right butt cheek has had to lift way off the floor. If I had really flexible hips, it would just come down, but it's just the way that our hip sockets are made. So you can tuck your left toes and walk your left knee back a bit, which gets you a little bit lower. But chances are you'll need a block or some cushions popped just at the bottom of that butt cheek, at the top of the leg, because we don't want those ligaments and muscles just hanging down. We need some support over them. If you get pins and needles here, or any type of issue, pain, then come out and just thread the needle like we did at the start. So if we had our right leg forward, you cross your right leg over your left knee, you're still going to get a very, very similar stretch. Okay, so once you've got yourself nice and propped up, you've edged that left knee as far back as is comfortable for you. You can lift through the chest and roll the shoulders back and really activate that back. You can push through your front shin and your back knee and thigh, and that will keep your knees nice and safe and also help with your back. You can also flex your toes on your front foot to keep the ankle and knee nice and stable. You can stay in this back bend, or you can fold yourself down and just get comfortable. If it's too much, you can just walk that back knee in a bit, or you can take that posture on your back to thread the needle like I showed you. But just try and breathe. You can keep it active if you wish by pulling in your belly, pulling in your pelvic floor, pushing firmly through that front shin. Or you can let it go as long as it's not causing any pulling or causing it to be too intense. No doubt you can feel this in your hip because it's a big hip stretch. Great for most forms of, most people who have sciatica. There will be the odd case that this won't work for you if you do have sciatica, but you'll know that when you come into it. Always listening to your bodies. Last breath. And just bringing yourselves out. Ooh, it's actually quite
nice here to just take that right leg back. You can come into a downward dog and wiggle if you wish. And let's see how it feels on the other side. So get your supports ready on the left, bringing that left knee to the left side of the mat, but the left foot goes over to the right. Watch that knee. Keep the left foot flexed if you have any issues with your knee, or come onto your back and do the thread the needle, taking the left ankle onto the right knee. Okay, see how it feels to get it so that your hips are nice and level, chest is forward, tuck in the back toes and keep walking that back knee to the back of the mat, sinking yourself down. And I've got a massive gap there underneath that left hip. So I prop it so that I can completely let go of those muscles and let them stretch. Let's activate. Lift the chest away from the belly, roll the shoulders back and down. If your back's sore here, then you just take the back bend out straight away. You can strongly push into the back foot, the back knee, the front shin if you want to keep it active. And then roll it down if you wish. Just listen to your body. Take any version of this that is good for you. Whether it's active, whether it's relaxed, whether it's on your front, on your back. Your legs are going in completely opposite directions. In effect, you are in splits pose here. It's just that you have a bend in your front leg. Otherwise, your thighs are going in completely opposite directions. And that can put a little bit of pressure on your sacroiliac joint in your lower back because you're asking it to twist in opposite directions. So it's always important to listen to your body. You never do anything that hurts in yoga. Never. One more breath. And then coming out. Doing whatever feels good here. Straightening that left leg is quite nice. Maybe wiggling through your downward dog. And come to lay on your backs. Whew, well done, guys. Whew. Any comfortable position that feels good for you. Just keep the body spacious. I'm going to sit up. I'm just going to play the bowl for a couple of minutes. You guys get yourselves nice and comfortable. I'll play the big one today, my favourite. Make sure the legs are parted, the arms are away from the body, and really start to soften through the forehead skin. Just let it go. The jaw, the teeth, the chest, and notice your breath again. Really focus on what it's doing, especially that exhale. And notice how you feel after that work today. I've never heard anybody say that they feel worse after a yoga class than better, but there's always time. Hopefully you do feel a little better. Just let the vibrations of the bowl wash over you. Bringing that wonderful life back into your bodies. Taking a stretch. And then gently, one knee at a time, giving yourselves a hug in. Rock and roll, whatever feels good, before you roll onto any side and lift yourselves up to seated. Keeping the eyes closed if you wish. Let's lift the chest, relax the shoulders, tuck the tail under just a little, keeping our spine nice and supported. As you bring your hands into your chest and take a big inhale and a slow exhale. Bowing the head, bringing the thumbs to the forehead. Thank you so much for joining me. If it wasn't for you guys, I would not be here. So grateful. Hope you enjoyed that. Namaste. Oh, I certainly feel relaxed. I don't know about you guys. Like I say, thank you so much for your continued support. I wouldn't be able to do this if it wasn't for you. And hopefully you're enjoying it. And I will see you Monday, hopefully, for some outdoor yoga trials. If the weather's good, I'll be trialling it with some people outside and then putting on some outdoor classes. Speak to you soon.